multiplying two-digit numbers times each other, or three-digit numbers times each other, two or three-digit squares, or cubes even. I think was about as far as I got. Um, but it's I have this bad habit of starting books and not finishing them. So I'm trying to focus my energy on the books that are most related to what I'm trying to do in this next year of my life. Um, the where I want to be by the end of the year, and so um, books like Creating Personal Presence is something that are going to be a high priority for me. Another book I um, you know recently rediscovered. I bought this book probably 8 years ago or 7 years ago, and I recommend it. Uh, it's Flow: The Psychology of Optimal Experience, Steps Towards Enhancing the Quality of Everyday Life, or the Quality of Life, by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I think is how it's pronounced. And this book is really interesting for me to look at from the perspective of um, um, a person that has kind of been a part of some violence in his childhood, and the book is about this. Mihai did a study, and the study was, I think, if I remember correctly, had these people had these pagers on them. They'd go off at random times throughout the day, 7 times during the day, and it asked them about different questions about how they're feeling and why. And but the basic premise of the book is that there are different states of consciousness that you can get into, and one diametrically opposed version of states of consciousness is the state of flow versus the state of disruption, um, or, or violence, or some sort of chaos. And in a state of flow, for example, you could use the analogy of driving in your car. In a state of flow, it's easy to get from one place to the other. It's easy to get long distances, or to get to where you need to be, or to um, um, your driving is at ease. But in a state of disruption, or a state of um, violence, it's not easy to get from one point to another. And just refocusing here, maybe. And it's not easy to get from point A to point B. And so you can think about somebody in your life that might disrupt your thinking, or make it difficult for you to express a thought, or maybe even if you yourself have difficulty expressing an idea, getting through a sentence when you speak out loud, or even when you think in your mind, aren't able to complete an idea from beginning to end. Then you're not in a state of flow. But if you're in a state of flow, you're able to do things, you're able to think in ways, and you're able to affect changes in circumstances that you're not able to do in other situations. And there are certain activities that we can do, or we can be involved in, that it's possible to have a state of flow in. And one would be chess, one would be music, performing different types of music, or performing on stage, or giving a speech. It could be any type of creative endeavor. It could be doing a job, some type of job in which you have some skill, and are pretty good at it. But there's a number of implications. I'm going to see if I can turn to random pages that I have things underlined, and see if I can just read a quote. At one point we are saying that the self directs attention. At another, that attention determines the self. In fact, both these statements are true. consciousness is not a strictly linear system, but one in which circular causality obtains. Attention shapes the self and is in turn shaped by it. So that's kind of a weird one. I'm trying to... yeah, this book's pretty marked up. The view that work undertaken as a flow activity is the best way to fulfill human potentialities has been proposed often enough in the past, but by various religious and philosophical systems. So I don't know. I might not be able to come up with a quote immediately just by going randomly through here live, but I highly recommend the book if you're interested in concepts of higher consciousness or just enhancing your quality of life, finding activities that in which you're able to attain this higher level of consciousness. You've probably already experienced it in different activities that you've done. If you do a job that for some time that you get a certain benefit out of, or that you really enjoy doing, or that you can really immerse yourself into. It's like sometimes when I'm playing chess, if I'm doing music, time disappears, and I'm just not anywhere else but in that moment, and I'm able to 100% give myself to that moment, and that's where I want to go with my public speaking skills. Is get to a place where hopefully at one of these events, one of these Empower Network events, I might have the opportunity to speak before people and tell a little bit of my story, and tell them a little bit about why, the value I've gotten out of Empower Network products, or just having listened to some of the other leaders talk about what Empower Network means to them and what it is. For me, Empower Network is about personal development, and it's about a group of people, a group of human beings, united in becoming the best that they can be. But that's probably a topic for the next video. This is over 21 minutes, so I'll end this. And this is and forgive the topic of these, or the crude nature of these videos. I'm just really kind of doing it off the top of my head, and for the first time, kind of thinking out loud. This isn't, if you go to my blog, you probably find that what I post in there is usually a bit more put together, and hopefully as I evolve with these videos they will be too. But right now I'm just kind of trying to start in the process of just creating material to give each of you that see this maybe a little information about who I am and what I'm passionate about, and hopefully invite you into the conversation in some way. Even if you're not interested in getting involved in Empower Network, I'd still like to hear from you and hear if I've written something that inspires you in some way. I'd like to hear from you. So I'd like to hear what you thought of it. But I'd also like to invite everybody to check out Empower Network and sort of find out what it's about, because it is something that I think is pretty cool. I'm really excited to be a part of it, and I'm gonna be with them until they hang up their hats, until I'm gonna be with them for the long term. So anyway, thanks for listening to me rambling, and these videos will get better, I promise. All right, have a good night, or a day, or week.